Okay, there we go. Finally got through on that international call. Sometimes it's tricky calling overseas there. Dave, are you there?
Hello, is that Java John?
This is Java John. Dave Davies, how are you, my friend?
Great, fine.
It's nice to hear your voice.
Yeah, it's beautiful here today. It's a wonderful spring evening or afternoon.
Yeah.
It's about 3 o'clock.
Good.
PM here.
Yeah. It's about 10 a.m. here in Florida, and it's a beautiful overcast day, kind of reminding me of the UK, I think.
Yeah.
It gets too hot here for me.
Yeah, I like Florida.
It is nice.
I used to go there a lot.
Yeah,
I played there, played all over, but
Yeah.
I used to go there to on holiday.
Yeah.
I used to go years ago to Longboat Key.
Yes. Yeah, I used to see you guys in the 80s when you used to come down to Sunrise in Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, I used to love playing there.
Oh, that was a
great little theatre.
That was a great
I
venue.
used to love that gig.
That was a great venue, and you guys put on some
So
awesome
is that
shows.
near you, Fort Lauderdale?
That, again, is about 2 hours or so south, 2.5 hours.
So where exactly are you?
We're actually right outside of Cocoa Beach, just east of Orlando.
I know,
Yeah, here in the Space Center capital, you know.
Great, yeah. Cool. So what's up?
Well, I don't know. You know, I've been playing Fractured Minds for the listeners here for the past couple of weeks, as well as
cool. That's great.
as well as tracks off of Rainy Day in June. Both wonderful discs, Dave. I'm loving them.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
I've been a fan of yourself and the Kinks since I was a child, blossoming as a teenager.
How old are you?
I'm 47 now.
Oh, you're a youngster.
So it really came, you know, when Sleepwalker came out was when, actually a little bit before that, when about 73 or so is when I started becoming a real big Kinks fan.
Oh,
And,
great. That's
and
good.
remember-
Sleepwalker was one of my favourite albums.
Oh yeah,
They're all special, you know. They're all very different, but I think that's what I like about working with the Kinks. So when we, you know, it's because everything was more unpredictable, and each album was different.
each album has a little different feeling, and but unpredictable, huh?
Well, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
With me and Ray working together was always unpredictable at the best of times.
I'm sure. I had the pleasure of reading both of your books, and unfortunately, I couldn't find Kink. I read it about 2 years ago, and I looked for it this past week, and I'd moved several times, so I didn't get to reread it. But I read some excerpts from your webpage, and yeah, so interesting collaboration there between you and Ray, eh?
Odd, unusual. But nothing is never as simple as it seems.
Right. I'm sure.
But sometimes, you know, through difficult relationships, you know, good things are born, and we've created some great stuff, I think.
Exactly.
Over the years.
Oh yeah. Exactly.
Despite our differences and the friction and the abuse,
Yeah.
you know, there's a lot of good come out of it.
Yes.
I think.
I think so, and
Yeah.
I'm sure many out there would agree with me.
Hope so.
You know, I want to touch on something real quick before we go into depth on anything. The day that I got the confirmation that we would be doing this, actually the same hour that we picked the date and confirmed this interview, I pulled up on the Newswire a little something about Clissold Arms.
Oh, right, yeah.
And I saw that you and Ray both had comments to make about the Clissold Arms. Is that the place where the Kinks made their first public appearances?
Well, the Clissold Arms was a pub
Right.
opposite the house that we were born in,
Right.
which was 6 Denmark Terrace. And it was the first ever gig we played at as a duo.
Right.
We used to play like instrumental things, you know.
Yeah.
And Ray would play lead, and I played rhythm. Oddly enough. But I think as time progressed, I probably became a bit better at improvisation than Ray. Although Ray was more of a trained sort of musician. I mean, he could play finger picking and fingerstyle and Spanish style playing like when he was quite young. So he had the technique and I had the creativity, if you know what I mean, then.
Diamond
but
in the
anyway,
rough.
the Clissold,
Yeah.
And it was the first gig we ever played, and over the years, it's become quite a haunt for Kinks fans from all over the world.
Right.
Japan, everywhere. Germany, USA, everywhere.
Sure.
And they, over the years, they've created a little kind of shrine type thing in the corner in one of the rooms to the Kinks and our music and plaques and pictures and stuff.
Right.
And it's kind of like people meet and when they come to London to look at, check out the places where the Kinks come from and the Archway Tavern and all the historical elements of our history and all the cultural background.
Sure.
They would end up at the Clissold Arms for some fish and chips and a pint and talk over Kinks music and stuff. And this pub had been taken over by a development company. And they were going to get rid of or auction off all the Kinks memorabilia in there. But fortunately, just this last 2 days, the people who are redesigning the pub have decided that it would be better to keep the memorabilia. So they're going to keep a Kinks.
Oh, great.
Cool. So it's all kind of turning out good.
Well, good. Then all of our going online and signing the petitions helped.
Oh, I definitely think so. Because it was in all the newspapers over here and the local papers, and
Yeah.
it definitely did highlight the interest and made them think twice.
Oh, wonderful. And you know
So
what?
it's great, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a marker of sorts.
It's a what?
A historical marker.
Well, yeah,
You know?
I think so. It means a lot to people, who come over. That's important.
Maybe they can get. Don't they have a blue plaque over there? Can they put a blue plaque outside?
Well,
Can we petition the government for that?
Something more substantial there. That'd be wonderful, wouldn't it?
It certainly would. It sounds deserving to me. After all, that's where it was born, and you guys have certainly inspired generations of artists.
Yeah, it seems so. It's funny, it doesn't really seem that long ago, yeah.
No, it doesn't sometimes, does it?
It's very weird.
But, speaking about being weird, though, one of my questions was, when, at what point did you realize, damn, we did have, an influence on generations? When did that strike you?
Well, I think some years ago, when the band called The Jam and when that punk boom started, there was, with the Sex Pistols and the Jam and the Clash. Well, I loved the Clash.
Oh, yeah.
And the Clash were on tour with us in Australia, and I've never met them before, and they were really sweet, and they were really respectful, and it was interesting to find out how influenced they'd be by our music. And so it was really from then onwards, and every so often a new band would mention our name, and right up to modern day when bands like, lots of bands.
Oh, yeah,
mention
the
our
Vines,
name.
the Strokes, the bunches of them out there.
Yeah, it's quite a few of them. It's nice to hear.
Well, Dave, we've got to take our first little commercial break here.
Cool.
And then I'll bring you back on if you don't mind. We're going to take about 2 or 3 minutes here, and we'll come right back on the air. So I'm going to put you on a hold for just a minute.
That's good, because I can have a sip of my tea.
Yeah, have a little tea. And Davies will be right back with you in just a few minutes. Thank you for being there, sir.
Cool.
Stick around, everyone. We'll get into the meat of this in just a few moments. Dave Davies of the Kinks joining me here on the Acoustic record. I'll be right back. All right, welcome back, everyone. Java John here. You're listening to the Acoustic record on tropicwaveradio.net, and I especially like to welcome everyone from around the globe. I know that there's a lot of listeners tuned in via DaveDavies.com message board. We've got Dave on the line. Yeah, Dave. Hey, how are you?
Fine, good.
Yeah, I got a lot of responses, a lot of buzz about that. And another thing I got was, I have a fairly extensive email list, and when I sent this out the other day, I was virtually flooded with remembrances of gigs in Europe and gigs in the U.S. and how in 1967 I tried to cut my hair like Dave Davies, and how for years it took me to get this riff down and that, and so without reading all those, I just want to let you know that there's a bunch of people out here sending their love to you.
I love it. It's great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank all.
Not only has rock and roll been inspired by Dave Davies and the Kinks, but all of us have too. All of us out here, us listeners, us civilian folk.
Civilians.
Before the break, we were talking a little bit about just that, about the Kinks' influence, on artists. And there's two artists in particular that I wanted to mention to you. One, I got a CD last year from a London band called Van Tramp. Are you familiar with them yet?
No, I'm not.
They are wonderful, and they claim all of the influences from that British invasion thing. But it's got a contemporary. Van Tramp.
Oh, cool name.
Yes, and I think that's one of the artists' last name, if I'm not mistaken.
Google them.
Yeah, check them out. Van Tramp are very cool. I've been playing the hell out of them on this show for a year. And as a matter of fact, I picked them last year as my favorite album of the year.
Check it out.
So dig them. And then last night on late night television, I saw a three-piece, I'd never heard of them, called the Noisettes.
Noisettes?
Have you heard of them?
Never heard of them.
Two guys, a drummer and a guitarist, and a gal on bass and lead vocals. And I believe they're out of London. They were pretty wild. They had a hopped-up sound. They were good. Yeah.
I'll have to check them out.
Yeah, please do. And I got one more for you too. Late last night, as I'm all getting psyched up for this, I came across Sky's MySpace page, and I noticed your son Sky, and I noticed that he was influenced by Jaco Pastorious. That he's a fan.
Yeah, he's got a very broad musical taste, but he's a DJ.
Oh yeah.
In London for trance music, and he holds events. They have synergy events all over London and the West Country, and
right on.
He's really into it.
Well, I sent him.
And it's really spiritually orientated version of trance music, so he's into playing all that kind of stuff.
Nice. I dropped him an email.
Oh, good.
And I wanted to let him know that I was telling you off air about there was a coffee venue that I used to run that had live music.
Oh, right. That's right, yeah.
And about 10 or 12 years ago, Jaco's nephew was 15 years old, came in. He lives in town here. He came in and he started taking bass lessons. And that was 15 years ago. I saw him for about a year taking lessons every Tuesday night during a jazz jam. His name is David Pastorious. Right. And now I saw him about a year and a half, 2 years ago, fronting
How's
his.
He getting on?
It's in the blood. I see Jaco all
funny.
over
it's
him.
Like your kids, they inherit your genes.
It's
and
amazing.
Kind of like tune them up a bit and improve them. And stuff.
It is absolutely amazing to see him play. So I hope.
I'll have to look up him too.
Yeah, I hope David checks him out. I'll forward you some links to some of this stuff.
Jaco was pretty cool.
Oh, Jaco was cool.
He's still playing.
Oh, Jaco's been dead now for 20 years. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he unfortunately was I think killed in a bar fight in Fort Lauderdale. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, very sad. Very sad. I think
20 years.
Yeah.
Good God.
Yeah, I think he had a tendency to wander into bad situations.
Yeah, some people are like that.
Yeah. Anyhow.
But great player.
Oh,
great.
Man. Amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Let's talk about a couple things here. One of the things that when I was preparing a little bit here, I just took some song titles and I matched up some thoughts to the song titles, and I thought, maybe I'll throw out the titles, maybe I'll elaborate it, maybe I'll let you elaborate on it, and see what you say when I throw out a title here. What about when I say, let's see, how about Father Christmas?
Oh man, I always thought that was really underrated, that record.
Love that record.
When we made it, we tried to get it out in time for Christmas in UK.
Right.
And sometimes people don't have, the Kinks have always had a special kind of humour,
Yes.
Me and Ray have always kind of been very in tune with our sense of humour, even though we haven't been in tune with each other's personalities sometimes. but our humour has always been very similar. And we wanted to put this single out for Christmas as a kind of like a Christmas protest song.
Right.
Because it's such apart from the religious side, which is a very personal thing to people.
Right.
We're not knocking that, but it was like the whole idea of the exploitation of Christmas and how people get into debt for no reason at all.
Right.
And it's such a rip-off, and it's a shame because it's lost the spirit of what it was supposed to be.
Right.
And we were thinking about kids on the poverty line starving at Christmas. So what do they do at Christmas?
Mm-hmm.
I guess they probably did very similar things to what we did at Christmas. We'd run out and get ourselves into trouble, or maybe rob a store, or even maybe hold up Santa Claus and steal his presents. So we kind of, and Ray come up with the song, and I loved it. I don't think I stopped smiling throughout the whole recording. It was a wonderful experience. We made a video and everything, and people took it the wrong way.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what's the matter sometimes.
You got to watch them people sometimes.
It is a social comment.
Yes.
It's got a real funny side to it.
A little tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah.
Yeah. I smile every time I hear it, and I get it. I've got it. I always got it. I love it.
Oh, good.
And then, well, looking on your website there, and there's a little story related to that you express in the book Kink about the live performance.
Oh yeah.
And they've recently aired that here in the U.S. on VH1.
Wow.
That
all the stuff's coming out with the internet taking off like it has the last couple of years. Things coming out of the woodwork.
I'm sorry.
Filming a DVD that I'm hope to put together, and I'm working on an audio-visual website as well, a different website.
Right.
And where we're going to have film clips and the Davies TV internet show and stuff like that.
Nice.
So, and we keep coming across all this old footage. Where does it come from?
Yeah.
But it's there. People have got it. It's coming out of the woodwork now.
Yeah. Yeah, they showed that and they billed it as the Kinks Christmas concert.
Father Christmas looked pretty angry.
Was he? He wasn't prepared to sing "You Really Got Me," was he?
No.
Did he think he was going to sing "Father Christmas"? Was that the gig?
Yeah. We planned it all day
to
do that rehearsal and dress rehearsal. That we were going to do. I'll put the beard on, get dressed up, and surprise everyone. And we're doing a new single. I thought, okay. And in the end, when we were supposed to do it, I got me instead. So just to keep him on his toes, you know. He can't always have it his own way.
Not always. I'm an older brother too. I know. Did you find yourself keeping Ray on his toes often, Dave?
Yeah, I think it works both ways, though.
I'm sure.
You know, all this. Let me introduce you to Dave, Death of a Clown Davies, as if it was the only thing I'd ever done in my life. Well, I was going to say asshole, but I won't.
Beep.
But you know, it's what happens.
Yeah.
Weird relationships. There's a lot of them out there in families and in politics and in business and band, everywhere.
Well, you know, I was picking these song titles, and of course, one of the song titles that I picked was "Brother," and that my thought on that was some of what you just shared, and you know, I understand with my brothers that at times there's been tensions, and you know, there's a special dynamic in families. Especially when you stay, there are families that split apart and never speak to each other again. But when you stay in contact, there's a certain dynamic. But I cannot imagine the dynamic of bursting into superstardom with your brother, and and then being there constantly on the road and in the studio for years and years.
Well, no, there was like 3 sides, or maybe 50. The ones that I can remember, it's like the dynamic, really, is the great one. The one that always worked for us was that instant kind of telepathy kind of thing. Mm-hmm. You know what the other one's thinking, and you do it. And, like, you don't need to sit down and discuss it.
Right.
It just happens. Those magical times are wonderful.
Right.
You know, the bad side of it was that we were in each other's face. We're very, very different people. Our personalities are very different. And I think that's helped the music as well, because we bring different ideas to the table. And I think it's helped the music, but probably hindered our personal lives. And the music business, or the entertainment world, it's a dangerous place to visit, you know.
I'm sure.
There's some damaged people out there because of it being an entertainment in one way or another.
Yeah.
And creative people sometimes can get very strange.
Yeah.
And you have to try and fight for your own identity and, more importantly, your own sanity.
Well, you guys came about, you know, at a strange time, and I'm sure at a strange age, an impressionable age, you know. And, and to have all the...
I didn't have an adolescence, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know, I had a job. I was thrown out of school at 15, 14.
Yeah.
And I worked in an cleaning instruments like trombones and saxophones and things, and in the West End. But I liked it because I could always go out and visit the music shops and the clothes shops and check all new stuff out in the clubs. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden the Kinks took off, and like I grew up and in the music business, which is, you know, I lost my adolescence in a way.
Lost innocence.
Well, yeah, but in a way, it keeps you, rock and roll keeps you young. Except, you know, on the other side of things.
That's true.
It can, you know, I feel as creative and as youthful inside now than I've ever felt, probably more so.
Right on.
And I was 60 this year, and it sounds like 600, but I don't feel very much different to what I did when I was learning how to slash that speaker up on the razor blade.
Yeah.
You really got me.
Yeah.
I don't feel inside, myself. I don't feel an awful lot different to that guy.
I know what you're talking
Hopefully
about.
I'm a lot wiser, or a bit wiser, and I'm definitely a lot happier than I was at 16.
Me too. Me too. So, you know what?
But it's like you live your life, or a part of your life, in the public eye, and I think that's why Kinks music was always drawn to family, because our family were our biggest fans and biggest supporters of our music. And also, my mum bought my first guitar.
Yeah.
And
support.
She paid down payments on it.
Yeah.
Because she didn't have the money to buy it outright, and they encouraged us to do music.
Great.
Because being sort of working class in the 50s, it wasn't. It only became like in the late. Huh?
We need to take a quick break, Dave. Sorry about that.
Yeah, whatever.
We'll pick up on this in just a minute.
Yeah.
We got Dave Davies on the line, folks. Stick around. We got more to come in just a few moments. All right, Java John here. You're listening to the Acoustic Record. We got Dave Davies on the line. All right. Dave, are you there?
Hello. Hi, this is Dave Davies, and you're listening to the Acoustic Record. Did I get it right?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. All right. Hey, Dave, where are you? Are you still in the same neck of the woods that you grew up in?
No, at the moment, I travel a lot to Manchester and London, and I'm in Devon at the moment.
All right.
Near where I recorded Fractured Minds. I recorded it in Devon.
I love this disc. I've been playing a lot of tracks on it on the show. I haven't had too many opportunities to sit down and listen to it straight through, which I'm looking forward to. But I've been playing Fractured Minds, and I've been playing Come to the River and Giving and Remember Who You Are. In particular, those four. I've played some of the others.
Oh, that's great.
And wonderful stuff.
Thanks.
And then there's some other tracks on here that are very interesting. Rock Siva. And The Blessing. Interesting
that's very
tracks.
Personal track, The Blessing.
Well, I got the impression, and offline there a few moments ago, I was talking to you about the Rainy Day in June, which was recorded live in Germany in 2004, and a few weeks after that recording, after that concert, you had suffered a stroke, apparently.
That's right, yeah.
And I didn't realize it was a stroke. I knew you had an illness. It occurred to you a few years back. But when listening to Fractured Minds, I got the sense of healing in there, in a lot of the music. And then it wasn't until, like I said, the past couple of days in a little bit of research that I realized that it was a stroke that you had. But nonetheless, I got that impression from this record.
Yeah, I think that in a weird sort of roundabout way, I think that episode in my life helped me in a lot of other ways, in a lot of internal ways, which is really strange as it may seem. So I felt that I became more optimistic and a lot stronger in a lot of respects inside, and tend to have more faith in the things I believe in, and more faith in a higher force or absolute being, or not God in the sky with a big beard and a whip telling people what to do, but
right.
An energy, like Star Wars, a force that surrounds us all. I think, and that was really a thing that was driving me forward after I had that stroke. I was paralyzed for like few weeks.
Completely
and
paralyzed?
Gradually came back.
Right.
And, it was traumatic, but at the same time, it was the biggest learning curve I've ever had. And it's given me an awful lot of I've always been into yoga and mysticism and stuff anyway.
Right.
That's been probably more important to me since I was 20 years old than the music. But I've always had that there, and I'm glad I did. When major things happen to you in your life, it's interesting how you need to draw on your reserves of energy and knowledge.
Yep.
And it's all good information, useful information when you're going through tough times. And Fractured Minds is about my spiritual life and about my psychological life, and it's also about yours, Java John.
Yeah.
It's about ours. It's about the world and where we find ourselves and how damaged we are and how fractured we are. But it should encourage us to learn and teach each other rather than hide away from our problems. We need to bring the problems out into the open so that we can deal with them properly.
Right on.
And, sometimes it's unpleasant, but, life's unpleasant. But sometimes when we deal with unpleasant issues, we change. It's like shedding a skin, like you become lighter.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like a lighter in spirit when you solve problems. And inner problems. And psychological and emotional problems are probably harder than physical ones, in a way.
Sure.
Because they're less tangible. If there's a guy standing in front of me and wants to hit me, I know straight away what I've got to do.
Right.
I've either got to hit him back or run. But like with psychological and emotional fractures, so to speak, it's harder to know what's what.
It's a little harder to...
Sometimes it takes a major emotional and spiritual event to shake it all up, and you can see a bit clearer afterwards.
I hear that often. It's interesting how a little while ago we were talking about the Kinks coming up in the mid-'60s, and then all of a sudden you're rushed into fame, and then the explosiveness of rock and roll of that time, and then all the drugs in the world, and how interesting it was as collectively, I think, how people were getting into all the different types of drugs, but at the same time, after a short time of that, a lot of people started getting into, of course, yourself and George Harrison are prime examples, started getting into the more spiritual side and searching for that inner peace, the inner light, the outer light, whatever light it was, trying to find that, find the way, not necessarily through chemical,
No, but, maybe that, the chemicals were important in a respect, in certain respects.
It's true.
But they're just as damaging,
Right.
But I always felt a great affinity with George Harrison. And I even wrote a song for us to do together.
Oh, yeah?
But unfortunately got ill and I didn't meet him again. And I wrote a song called Give Something Back, which was on one of my internet releases. And I would have loved to have done a duet with him on that song.
Oh, that would have been wonderful.
But, it's interesting, because I suppose coming through that time after the war, growing up in the 50s and then the 60s revolution, a cultural revolution, wasn't it, really?
Right.
Of music, art, and politics, everything,
Sure.
really.
Yeah.
But it was a time of uncovering, really.
Right.
Wasn't it? It's like breaking down barriers. In America, the civil rights movement and the black and white issues and the race riots and stuff. And it's all breaking down of barriers between people that separate people. And people still have a fear of being contaminated by other people. But we're stuck with each other, so we've got to try and take it all on board somehow, and that's tough. But I think now, because in the early 20s, I studied quite heavily astrology, and I became really interested in the mind and how the mind works, and Carl Jung and the mystical side of human beings and behavior, and why do we do the things we do, and why do we not do the things we should do, and why do we have such guilt and such repression and all this stuff, you know. And it's great because it's great stuff to write songs about.
Yeah.
So there's a great reservoir of information there that's twofold. You know, you can make songs about it and you can write about it, but also you can work on yourself, use it to work on yourself. And that's what we don't do enough of, is the inner work, you know, and so it's not all external. Our lives aren't all external, although we got to function in the external world.
Right.
It's not as important as what's within us. And for some weird reason, that it's been hidden from us. It's always been like, oh, it's a secret. Oh, don't say that, you know. And like, even as a young boy, I knew there was more to life than just, you know, houses and streets and people eating and going to the toilet and dressing up and going to bed. I always knew there was more to life than that. It's impossible. But now I kept waiting and waiting for someone to tell me, right now it sounds so. You know what I'm saying? But it never happens.
Right.
You know, so we have to find out things ourselves in the end.
That's true. That's
and
true.
Fortunate, I feel very fortunate. I've been very lucky that I've been able to travel the world and meet some great people, some weird people, some very destructive people, a whole gamut of like personality types and everything. And I feel very fortunate that I've managed to pack in so much experience in a relatively short amount of time. But it's all essential stuff, you know.
Yes.
How you learn is by experience.
Yep.
And I think we're at a great time now.
I think so too.
Yeah, I really do. Because although it seems things are very fragile, and I think there's a lot more truth coming to the surface.
It's true.
You know, there's things we're finding out about that our grandfathers and our fathers could only dream about.
That's true.
Or muse about, you know.
I think that there's a collective wavelength, like you say. People are looking inwards for healing, but they're also looking outwards. Excuse me. And you know, and helping each other, and oftentimes, you know, examples are like the Hurricane Katrina, and the tsunami and stuff like that. And you saw the way that people come to help each other in ways that they hadn't.
You know what it is? It's because that's what we're really like.
That's what we're about.
Why? What's wrong with being like we really are supposed to be?
Exactly.
We are human beings, aren't we?
Yes.
We're supposed to be human, but we don't. We're ashamed. What we're ashamed of? We're ashamed to cry. We're ashamed to be upset. We're ashamed to be sensitive. We're ashamed to put our guard down in case someone uses. But the world is full of abuse. Mm-hmm. But these issues as well are things that are coming out. We need to confront many aspects of psychological and emotional abuse and put these demons or these characterizations of our own being in proper perspective.
Yes.
Maybe they're not the monsters they seem. When you look at them, they're probably quite weak and fragile parts of ourselves. But, we could go on. But this is all related to the fractured mind concept. It's all in there about. It's odd and it's at a weird time. We all have got to adjust somehow. But the human body is built for change. It's constantly changing. And but the mind, is harder to change than our physical structure. The mind won't change. And that's the thing we need to change the most.
That's right. Let me ask you something. The DVD project that you were talking about.
Yeah.
Will there be any elaboration on these thoughts involved in the DVD?
Oh yes, certainly.
Well, good.
It's a big part of my life now.
Then we've got.
It always has been.
We've definitely got that to look forward to then.
Oh yeah, but I must say that I think your spiritual life, your psychological life, and your emotional life, and your physical life, they all work together, not separate things.
Right.
So you're creative. What you do creatively is to do with what you are as a spiritual being. So they're all linked. Right. It's like, old Dave's gone crazy, because he's doing astrology charts and doing the tarot and all that. But it's all a part of the same creative process.
Exactly.
And it's just a different aspect of this expressing this divine, if you like, or innate or latent force or power that we all have.
You're correct, Dave. Listen, we've got to come up on a commercial break. If we can just chat for 5 more minutes, can we do 5 more minutes after this break?
Yep.
And we'll wrap it up in just a few minutes. Dave Davies, thank you very much for being with me. We'll be right back, folks, right after these messages. All right, welcome back, friends. Java John here. Very excited today. I've got a very special guest on the line, Mr. Dave Davies of the Kinks. Dave, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay,
Hi.
Dave. Hey again.
Still here, man.
Still there. How's the tea?
Finishing me tea.
How is it today?
Very good.
Is it? Do you have tea?
Special brew.
Do you have tea at 4 every day?
Yeah, kind of.
You do?
Yeah.
Try and keep up that tradition.
If I can.
Yeah. Listen, I wanted to get on to one thing here. I loved of course, the Fractured Minds. I love the Rainy Day in June. Several years back, I got a copy of Ray's Storytellers, which I think was a brilliant record. But, and there's my but, every time I listen to it, I love it, but I always think, why the hell wasn't that Dave on the guitar? You know what I'm saying? I thought it would have been brilliant as a duo project, and I don't know. I don't need to get into whys or wherefores unless you want to. But with that in mind, obviously one of the pressing questions for everyone is are we ever going to see a Kinks reunion? Are you guys going to do any work together anytime? I heard rumors.
When we got together, what was it, about a month or so ago?
Yeah.
And it might happen. It's not. We haven't totally discarded the idea, but that would be nice.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Every time he says he wants to do something, he's off doing a show somewhere. I don't know what he feels like doing, really. I can't do a reunion with Ray if he's somewhere else. Or do I get somebody else and put a mask on?
Right.
Yeah. So, but which I've done before, but a long time ago. And so he's really got to try and work out what's going on in his own life before we can do anything. Like, it's one thing talking about something, but it's very different actually doing it.
Sure. Well, you know, we've seen Ron and Ronnie talking about Faces reunions for how many years now? And you know, between the two of them, I would, you know, it would, because if I'm
even without Steve, you know, I don't know.
Oh yeah, well, you know, there's some of the guys are missing, and that's a shame. And you know, and a couple of weeks ago, I was over here in Tampa, and I saw the Who in concert. And after had seeing them in 1976 with Moon and Entwistle, I kind of thought that I'd probably never want to see them again. But I'll tell you, they put on a powerful show a couple of weeks ago. They still got, and that's a great new record they got. So you know, it's interesting to see where things come around. If you and Ray haven't been in the studio for 15 years,
if people are talented, it doesn't diminish with age. People, what do they think? That
exactly
talent vanishes.
Exactly.
Once you reach 30, something.
Exactly.
You know, sometimes it becomes more intense.
That's true.
So, you know, it's got nothing to do with age, as long as you physically can do it. You know.
I hear.
It would be nice to do something with Ray, but I think he's got a lot of things he's got to sort out in his own life. Okay. I want to do my Fractured Minds project.
Yeah.
With DVD stuff, but I'm not discounting working with Ray again at all.
So the vibe is out there. So that's all. That's where we start, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, like you were saying, you know, when you know, I hear people say, "Oh, the Stones are going on the road again." Look, and you know what? Muddy Waters played until the day he died. You know, and how old was Muddy? Muddy was in his 80s. So you know,
great.
I don't want to hear nothing.
I like to hear.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Dave, listen, I tell you what, it's been an awesome pleasure here having you today on the program. And
you're great to talk to, John.
Well, thank you. I certainly hope we can do it again someday. If not here live in the studio, if you're in Florida, then definitely on the phone again. Maybe we'll, you know,
we could do something. Yeah, why not? Yeah, that's great. I enjoyed it.
We'll get together in advance and talk about a few things, what we want to discuss, and maybe when the DVD comes out or something, we can put that on, and we'll just get into something. We'll keep it open. We'll put it out there, as it were.
It sounds fun to me.
Dave, am I correct in saying was on the Rainy Day in June? You led into one track on the disc saying that you thought that this was your favorite Kinks tune. Was that "See My Friends" or was it "Set Me Free"?
"See My Friends" has always been one of my favorites.
That's what I got queued up next. So that's what we're going to have take us out.
Dead End Street, and it's a lot, but Dead End Street.
Yes.
"See My Friend."
Well, I'm going to play.
We could talk for a lot longer, but we should do it another time. And you know, I really enjoyed talking to you.
We will. I enjoyed talking to you as well. I'm going to play "See My Friends" for the people out there. Dave, thank you for being a friend.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to put you on hold for just 1 second. I'm going to play this song. Thanks again, Dave.